Hey Regina, alright, so here is the past life spread for loan. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So this is for loan. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to look at where we are, what was done for the majority of that life, the important day here with the relationships and feelings involved, another important day, the death and lesson learned, and we'll get hints of time throughout, okay? So, what we're looking at here is a male life, and where we're going to start here is the island card. Now, the island card can mean, island, like island living, like Hawaii, Fiji, kind of, or it can just mean, like, it can be Australia, it could be Japan, it could be the UK, it's just it's a land surrounded by water, so it can be any kind of island. In this case, I feel like we are, first of all, immediately brought east, as far as what we consider east, like the East Coast, like, East Coast, sorry, I'm not saying East Coast, east of the world, like Eastern. So we're not looking at Western, like, countries or the US or Europe or anything like that. It feels like we're on, like, it's hard to get specific at this second. Maybe it'll come through more, actually. So maybe I won't name any islands right now, but it's like, it's just what we consider east. So islands to the east. And, yeah, but it does not feel like, I know it does not feel like the Philippines or anything like that. It feels like, like, I mean, I don't know. So we'll see, because there's like, in my head, I need to actually look at a globe right now because I don't really know what it looks like. In my head, it's like there's a line where there's like Japan down to Australia-ish kind of thing, and you know what it is? It feels like we're looking at a place that is off of a main land, but it doesn't feel like a Hawaiian island. So it feels like it's almost like that Tasmania, like how I think Tasmania is right off of Africa, right? Like it's like a big island, like it's an island that's off of the main continent. That's what it feels like. So we're looking at, I guess what I want to say ultimately, sorry for the long jibber jabber, but ultimately it feels like a sub country of the main country. So almost like the inhabitants are just like, they behave just the way that the main country would act, except they're not on what's considered the mainland, if that makes sense. So that's what it feels like is coming through. So we're looking at a male life. We're looking at this child. So the boy coming through, the skin is tanned. It feels like this kid has features of what would be considered a native people, but a mix. So it feels like we're looking at this kid that is a mix of like a native and then a colonized, like when they became colonized, if that makes sense, but way down the line. So I don't feel like we're looking like super far back in history, but it's also not like immediate last life, like very, very modern either. But again, like I don't know. Yeah, so we're looking at a time period in this place where it's not just colonized, it's been colonized, and it's quite, like, it's almost like the way he looks is striking, and it's not something that is holding him back. It's that kind of thing. Like, it's not like, oh, these two different races mated, and the kid is, like, banned from, you know what I mean? It's not like that far back in history where that would be looked down upon kind of thing. So this kid is, but what's coming through is we're looking at this kid that is mixed ethnicities, and it's totally fine. And something about the image of this kid, his looks, helps him. There's something helpful about him, like his looks are striking or trusting, or, do you know what I mean? Like he doesn't look shady. Like there's something about his looks, and when I'm repeating things like that, it just means it's for a reason. Like there's something useful about the image of this kid. Okay, so I guess how we can connect already is the connection to an island living or water, connection to a connection about the country or the pride of one's country. There's something about homeland. There's something about pride in the homeland. So what this could be connecting with is how Lone might feel about his homeland, like where he's from. He might take a lot of pride in the place where he's growing up, kind of thing, or the culture there, or liking to learn about the history or culture. Island. There's something about. Yeah, I mean, just keep in mind this island is not like, it does not feel like this like tropically Hawaiian thing. This feels like this island is like substantial with like mountains and green and not just forests, but something about like ranch lands and agriculture and like very rich ecosystem. So the connection, there might be connections being made as far as like a love of the land, but it's different than, I want to say, like love of nature for the aspects, like it's not like fairy loving nature, you know what I mean, like oh, this is magical. It's more like this is the land and this is like earth, like this, like there's a stronger feel to it. There's more of like a grounded feeling to it, almost like so this person, like, so Lone might be someone that is grounded. There might be traits shown of being like, I can't explain it. Like there's a feeling of like seriousness. Actually, there's a feeling of like seriousness, but about the land or the place. I don't know. It's significant with as far as the land and the feelings of the land. I don't know. See what works for you. See if there's any connection there. But that's what's coming through here. So interestingly enough, as you can see, you know, I shuffle, and we have the same card here as the last reading. So we have a give, and it's always interesting when that comes up. The connection there, obviously, and what this feels like it's referring to is like just a very giving nature, but it feels like we're talking about also like giving to the people. There's something about giving to his family, there's compromise involved. So what this is feeling like is this person here, it's almost like this feeling of ingrained compromise towards the family. Something about a feeling of owing the family. And this could come from even past, like other past lives with the family we're seeing here as far as karma. Almost, it's a feeling of almost like he's bringing in karma from another life into this life towards the family he chose here. And in doing so, like he has kind of committing to this family. And it feels like this family, again, and maybe that's the land part. It feels like the family is very ingrained in the land. Almost like maybe the family are ranchers or tied to the land in some way. Like it feels like there's property involved. It feels like there's animals, property, land involved. So we might actually see a connection with somebody in the current life, where there might be traits of territorialness or possessiveness or protection over his things or people, parents, siblings, friends. If it's almost something like where he may be triggered by his best friend saying that he has more than one best friend. You know what I mean? Like almost like there's like something about possessiveness, and it's not like a big deal or anything, but it's almost like even like not sharing toys when he's really young, you know, like that kind of thing. There's something about or only sharing with people he trusts. there might be a trust thing involved here too, because it feels like we're looking at a family that's just very isolated as far as their land. So it's just interesting because, you know, like different feelings come up with different lives. Like this life has a very like different feeling than the others I've read from your family, like that kind of thing. Like, so there's something coming through that's like kind of harder and kind of like less, it's like less, like it's not cold, it's not, it's like, I can't explain it. It's just like a harder feeling, like almost like a harder life, like a physically more laborious life. Like there's physical labor involved, and also about something about pleasing the family, and it's on a karmic level. And so we could also be looking at someone in this current life who is a people pleaser. On the other hand, he could be coming back as someone opposite that, where there may be more like what's it called, not meeting of the minds, or making things harder, you know, not in a bad way, like, you know, I'm not saying like a bad kid at all, but just like maybe wanting to like make it so almost like you have to like prove your love of, you know, like prove your love that you love him, or prove that he, like he's priority to you, or something like that. Someone that it might connect in a way where even as a young child, maybe not anymore, something about needing attention, and that's obviously not a bad thing, but it would come from this life where it feels like he has to give attention to the family and it's not reciprocated. So he could be coming back in this life, he could be reincarnating in order to get that reciprocation this time around. So feel that out and see if there's any connection there, which would also, I also want to add something about like a balance, like a fairness, needing fairness, like he may like be like, oh well, you know, she got that, how come I can't get this? Or, you know, like that kind of thing, like a need for fairness. And if that's the case, it just realize it's coming from a very unbalanced life here, from at a very young age, a child that it doesn't get reciprocation, only gives kind of thing. But not giving where it's like, oh, I really love to help people, but giving in the sense of like where, hey, it's your duty to, you know, you need to work and you need to, basically, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like it was almost taken from him rather than given freely. Because of how this child grew up. So it was kind of like a bit of like an emotionally hard life here. So let's go to the first important day here. Sorry it's so choppy, it's just coming out kind of weird. So here is the graduation day, which we saw recently in another reading. Graduation, as you know, is not always school. So let's see what's going on here. The soul group is involved. The soul group. And torn. Okay, so what I feel like we're seeing here is we're seeing a split in paths, and we're seeing a choice having to be made at a certain age. And what's happening is I feel like there is, it's almost like for the first time this kid is given a choice, because both choice, either way, the family's going to benefit from it. Okay, so it's not like, oh, the family suddenly turned around and they're like, okay, well, you are an adult now and you have reached a certain age, so go be free and do what you want. You can do this, or you can do, it's more like, okay, kid, you can go this way and, you know, send us your money from this job, or you can go this way and get you'll be building a better reputation for us over here. You know what I mean? Like, so both choices basically, and this is a big choice in his life, but both will benefit the family, and yeah, himself, like he'll get experience from them, but it ultimately does benefit the family. So it's like we're looking at this life of someone who isn't able to do anything for himself. Like, nothing is for him. So it's like everything is tied to the family and everything is tied to others. So we might be seeing a connection in the current life of a desire for independence and freedom and a willful personality. even to the point of being stubborn. So keep that in mind, and if that's the case, it would come from this, where we're seeing someone who, no matter what choice they make, it's not going to be about them, it's about others. So we might be seeing someone again in this life who is going to make decisions and choices where it's like, what's it called? Just like feeding their desires, and others might see it as selfish, but it's really not. It's just putting your own priorities, putting yourself first, and that's okay, because we say that's selfish, but really it's like, when you look at the root cause of, in this way, looking at the root cause of why people act a certain way, it makes sense. Like, it's almost like, oh, okay, we'll take it. Be that way. That, like, go ahead. Yes, be stubborn and be happy and do what's happy for you. That kind of thing. So this can help maybe clarify if that's the case. On the other hand, we could be seeing this child reincarnating with the similar personality here of being a people pleaser. You see? So it can go one of both ways, but generally this feels like the effect would be where he would choose to do something different, which would be to choose things that would benefit him, or like his own what's it called, desires, passion, whatever, hobbies, just things that are just for him. It doesn't mean there's no love for the family. That it doesn't mean that at all. It just means that there's a soul in there that might want to like break free a little bit, So if there's a connection there, great. If not, that's fine. Just keep making connections where you can from what we're seeing here. Now, to go further with this day, what the choices seem to be, it feels like we're looking at something military, something like joining the army. And then we're looking at something that feels more like... Yeah, so it feels more, what's the word, schooling, like more of like going to school, but it's almost like he can only choose to go to school in order to learn certain business practices to bring back to the homeland, the farm, the ranch, whatever it is. So it feels very much like he goes military, because military to him here feels like freedom, travel, where he's not... he won't be able to be in contact or be contacted every day or even often at all by his family, kind of thing. Where, the only time, like, even though there's something where he's tied to the land, he won't have to see the family except on specific days he has off. And it's like he feels like there's a feeling of more control. Oddly enough, there's a feeling of more control over his life if he goes to the military than going to the school. So he does that. It feels very much like he's choosing military, but it's also, like I said before, with the whole like how it's going to benefit the family, the money he's making, it's like he's going to have to send a certain amount, like, because they're with him every step of the way up until he leaves, so they know what to expect from him, monetarily, things like that. So he's already kind of he's kind of taking care of his family by making this choice, but it buys him his independence and freedom. So important to him. So we see that. So we see that happening. Feelings of torn, of course, it's like this decision, that decision. That he didn't go to the school part, that also was hard for him, because there's something in this person that really enjoys learning. But there's something about enjoying learning at their own pace and what they like to, learn, whereas this would be very like regimented, structured about what he would be learning. And it's also something about like if he had gone this route, like the learning route, it would have kept him closer to home, and he was just so ready to leave. Obviously he's very young still. It feels really young. It feels like younger than 18. It feels like we're looking like a 16 or 17-year-old. I'm trying to get like a time period here. I don't know. I'm really trying to get because it feels like we're looking at like... It would be helpful if I knew the place, I think, but it does feel like we're looking definitely in the past couple hundred years, like definitely that, like no further than the past couple hundred years, put it that way. I want to say it's like late 1800s, early 1900s. That's what it just feels like that. So, okay, so keep making connections here. I'm going to go on to the next day. I mean, other connections you could be making is interest in military, love of learning unique subjects that it's not just business, even though there might be an aptitude for business, a connection to potentially to trains, planes, and automobiles kind of thing, like military aircraft or mobility, things that move, like things that they would do in the military. There might be an interest in even weaponry, you know, and it could be historical weaponry or you know, who knows, like if you might see pictures of something or watch certain videos and he enjoys, you know, watching certain parts of a film, like where there is fighting, maybe he connects with military things, or it's not all about fighting though. I mean, it's just about like the garb or the planes or, you know, that kind of thing. You know, I mean, it could be so far as like, not so far, but like it could be even like Navy. I don't know if it's Navy. There's something about being by the water, but it feels more focused on planes than boats or anything like that. So, okay. So that's that day. Try to keep making connections. And then keep in mind too, the opposites of connections. So if we're looking at someone who went to the military, it could be someone in this current life who actually it has no interest at all in anything military, you know, because they've had a life there. They're like, I'm done with that. So keep that in mind. Now here, let's go to the next important day. Here we have the move card. The move, let's go card. Can you see that? Let's see, hold on. There we go, yeah. And then the relationship involved is the family card. Family card. Oop, wait, there we go. Nice. And then we have the rolling right along card, usually like just a peaceful rolling right, can't speak, rolling right along. So I'm trying to see what we're doing here. Move, I feel like there's two things happening at one time, but it might be connected. So what it feels like is okay, it's like the military is being activated, so to speak, like there is a war or a battle or a something invasion, something's happening. There might be an invasion where we're looking at things are happening over here where he's being not deployed, but like put into action. And then it's also a feeling of the land, like the family of this place. So again, this island, I guess what I'm saying is like, if there was an invasion, the whole area would likely, or a very significant part of the island would be affected. Not just like, because Australia's really big. Like, Australia's really big. So it's like if there's an invasion in Australia, it could affect, you know, like a corner of it here, or a corner here, or that kind of thing. But this island size would make it so if there was an invasion of some kind, it would be more significant, where it'd be almost half or more of it would be affected, or would have to evacuate, or would have to flee, or something happening where there would be they'd be affected. So so there would be this happening over here in the military, and then the family is affected as well. And they're both being affected by the same thing, even though they're far apart in a way. Like they're not, you know, across the world from each other, but they're further than they've ever been from each other, this person and the family, the land. And they're both being affected by the same thing, which is ironic, because, you know, he went to go get away from them, and in some ways the ties never were cut, even with this happening, you know? So the feeling of rolling right along is almost like his usual, what's it called? Like how things usually are with the family, where he gives. The rolling right along usually means peaceful, but what's coming through more than anything is routine. So the family is in need of help, and this adult person now, I guess, in the military, they like seek refuge where he is, and he picks up the pieces and he keeps giving, and he's taking care of them. So this rolling right along feeling is kind of like this, it's kind of like a weird, like, what's the word, like a despairing feeling of not being able to get away, never getting away, never cutting the ties, like the feeling of I'm never going to get out of this, I'm never going to be my own person, I'm never going to get away, like that kind of thing. So I mean, this could make connections in the current life of somebody who you might find butts heads a lot with authority, or even those close to him. There might be some like headbutting, so to speak, in response to this feeling here of never getting away. It could be translated into never getting their way. Like in this, like there might be complaints. You might like there might be they might complain, like saying something like I never get my way. You never let me do this. You never da da da. And I know that's a typical thing for kids to say, but there's something. There may be something behind it, deeper than that. So if there's any feelings of unfairness that Lone can, like, if there's any feelings that come up where there's like a feeling of unfairness, or a feeling of things not going like right, or not going according to what's really wanted, or not having the outcome that was desired, or like if let's say like it's a family trip and they really want to go here and everyone else wants to go there, like possibly like being that person where it's just like their idea of what's like fun or interesting or whatever might be a little different than the rest of the group, kind of thing. If that's the case, that would stem from this feeling that's coming up, and also like the desire to want to go their own way and do their own thing and not have to be responsible for things that they shouldn't have to be responsible about, or things that they feel they shouldn't have to be responsible about. So yeah, I mean, there might be a feeling, like a burden that they feel, that Lone feels. Like there might be there might be no explanation for the feeling, but it might be there, just like one of those weird feelings that, like, oh, I feel, like responsible. I feel like there's a burden. I feel like something is weighing down for, like, on Lone for no reason, kind of thing. If you've ever heard that, or sensed that, or whatever, it could be coming from here. I know it's kind of like heavy stuff right here, but it's just, it is what it is. It's what's coming through. Yeah, so I don't know if you can make connections there. Keep making other connections if you can. So let's go to the death here. So this is the water card, and the water card, a lot of deaths with water. It's like there's so many things. There's drowning, and then there's a few other things like dying in a flood, or during a storm, things like that. So this feels like we're looking at someone that it felt like a death in either in battle, or while doing a routine like practice for a battle, or because there was an invasion, and it's like they're getting ready for like a retaliation kind of thing. It feels like this person's really young. I mean, it feels like we're looking at like 20s kind of thing. Like, it just feels like really young, like eager to get out, eager to fight, eager to prove their usefulness, like in a way that would be recognized. Because here, to the family, super useful, but never like given credit. Here, we're seeing someone who is really doing very well, like in the military, or the I don't know, Air Force. It feels kind of like Air Force-y, honestly, but someone who's doing really well with this career. And what happens when you do well in the military? You get promoted, you get recognized, you get medals, you get, there's nice things coming your way the better you do. And having never gotten that at home, there's something really lovely about that for them. So they're it's like during hard work, because they put in a lot of hard work, that's when they die. It just feels like it's it could be another battle, or it could be practicing, whatever it is, and it does feel it feels Air Forcey. Like we're looking at crafts. So I guess for historical what's it called, accuracy, if we can get that, maybe look and see when I don't know. It's hard because again, it's like the island is the because I keep wanting to say Tasmania, but it's not Tasmania. It's like south, and it's more south, and it's more like or like middle, but it's east. It's this island to the east of a bigger continent. So just maybe you want to look up Tasmania and Japan, and it's like these little islands. Huh. Anyway, I don't know why. You know what? When I don't get like the detail, a lot of times it's because it doesn't really matter. So maybe I'm just focusing on something that really doesn't matter. But the Air Force is an interesting thing that came through here and then over here, as far as like being interested in aircraft. So I would love to know about that connection, because if there is a connection there, that'd be very interesting. But it feels like the death was during, it feels like an aircraft maneuver over the water, either during battle or practice, whatever it is, in the air 1 minute, in the water the next. So impact, death, feels quick. It doesn't feel like a drowning. It just feels like the water card came up because it was in water, because it feels like the impact is what caused the actual death. So let's see how we can. So what can stem from here is what's it called? What can stem from here is a fear of drowning, a fear of water, fear of large bodies of water, or they can come back in this life wanting to take it head on and overcome that fear by spending a lot of time in the water, that kind of thing. Maybe this is somebody that likes to look at the water but not go in the water. There's that as well. This might be someone that likes boats and planes and all that, but maybe doesn't want to go out on the boat on the water, or maybe doesn't like to take a plane that crosses the ocean or something like that. What else? Something about the impact. This person could possibly not like heights. Might be a fear of heights. I'm trying to see what else. I don't know. There's nothing really else. Just those kinds of things. If anything, it would be that. It would be fear of heights, something about fear of deep water, or fear of airplane rides, like over the ocean, of like crashing, of something going awry when traveling in a vehicle in the water, kind of thing. And if not, great. But if there is that, it would stem from here. So this card is great for this life, because the Dream Big card is something that this person couldn't do. And for a small moment in their short life, they were able to kind of know what it felt like to work towards something like a dream when it was the military, but still that choice, even though this choice was theirs to take, and they took it, and that was the choice they made, those were the only choices. So this person here could not have their own dreams. They had to do what they were told. And it was really confining, and it was really restricted, and it was really regimented in a way, and too structured, and there was no freedom or independence. So there would likely be a reincarnation into this life for someone to pursue their dreams in maybe a more creative way, or in a later on in life, maybe a business way, like creating their own business, or whatever it is, they like doing it themselves, starting something themselves. The reason why I say creating business or creating something would be because it's something they would have to start from the ground up, and that nobody else would be able to dictate. So if they create it themselves, and this could be an artist too, because art requires total like freedom to create from the heart space, you know what I mean? So this person may be a really great artist, and not just painting. It could be like music, and it could be just like music or film or dancing, just something where the creation of it comes from within, that would make a lot of sense. And if not, what might help this person, if Lone, I guess, sorry, I'm like this person, but yeah, if Lone ever feels like they're stuck, it means they need an outlet to express themselves. So this Dream Big card is a message to dream big, but from within. And it's not about money, and it's not, dreaming big is not about money. It's not about, it could be about reputation, maybe the big dream is they want to be famous, and that's okay. But it's the means to get to there, like to the fame or to the glory, whatever it is. A creative internal expression is going to, I feel like what its meaning is, it's going to make life so much better and happier, or it is already what makes their life meaningful, is creative expression. Or, it could be, again, not just dancing or singing or painting or sculpture. It could be writing. It could be, it could just be living in their imagination for a while. Something they really weren't allowed to do here. So we might be seeing someone in this life currently who is trying to accomplish things that were very suppressed in this life, if that makes sense. So I know that came out kind of choppy, but it's interesting because some readings come out a certain way, like with certain, like it's a weird thing, like with certain rhythms and stuff. So I apologize if it was hard to follow, but that is what came through. That kind of energy is what came through here. So I hope you found that interesting. I hope you're able to make some connections here. And thanks for requesting this reading.